Okay, in this one, it's going to get about as complicated as it can get. And that's actually not true. I'm just trying to make this seem like it's going to be easy. Our idea here is we have Google Tag Manager, we have Google Analytics, we also have Google Ads. What we want to do is import goals from Google Analytics into AdWords as a conversion. We can do that by setting up the goal in Google Analytics as an event. And that event can be configured through Google Tag Manager and as a goal in Google Analytics. What are we? Okay, so let's just do this, okay? Because there's no way to prepare you by saying a certain thing that might, make it clear. It's not going to be clear, trust me. So, tools, conversions. We're here. We know this page. So far, so good. Hit plus to add a new conversion. We're going to import a goal from Google Analytics. Hit continue. Currently, it says I do not have a goal to import. So let's go ahead and make one. Here in Google Analytics, we go to Admin. We go to Goals for this specific view. We hit New Goal. For the template, we're not going to use it. We're going to use Custom. Hit Continue. Here, we want to add a name. We will say button click to Amazon listing. That is a goal that I think is pretty valuable for myself. This is goal ID 1, goal set 1. We are going to select event. Hit continue. The category. We can put click. Now it can get pretty complicated for the naming conventions here, and it's all dependent on your specific site and circumstance. Action equals button. It's going to be one or the other on that page right here. This button or this button. For the label, we can just say the label is, what is the button text? Buy at Amazon. Okay, the value, I'm going to leave that blank. Verify this goal. So this is over the past 7 days. We're just going to hit save. We have a goal. Okay. Now we need to remember what it is that we put for those category, action, and label. So I'm going to keep this screen open. Now we can go into Google Tag Manager. We click Tags. I'm going to create a new tag. What we're doing right now is we are creating a Google Analytics event that will basically record an event and push it into Google Analytics. So for the category, I'm going to say click. You could call it outbound clicks, and you can differentiate between outbound clicks and inbound clicks. And then from there, you can differentiate on the action. There's actually a whole page. Let me see if I have it open here. So there's this category. Category is a name that you supply as a way to group objects that you want to track. That's why it's really dependent on you. An action is, you will typically use an action parameter to name the type of event. So a good example for a video would be a play, stop, pause. And then the label, this is optional. Could be downloads, PDF, could be, that. So anyways, I'll give you a link to this in the video description below, but we're going to keep going. So button is the action, buy at Amazon is the label. Okay, non-interaction hit. This affects your bounce rate. Not to get too into the weeds here, I did some research on behalf of, this video, and I just want to make sure you know what this means. You can set non-interaction hit to true so that the event tracking does not affect bounce rate. So here's how I understand it. let's say you have your website and you install scroll monitoring as an event. So whenever somebody lands on a page, let's say I just go right to your home page and I scroll a little bit and then I leave. Normally that would be a bounce. If this is set to false, since I interacted with your site by scrolling, that would mean that's an interaction, therefore it's not a bounce. So this is a way of saying, do these events, is this event, does it, if somebody does it, does it count as a bounce rate if they just visit the page and do the event and then leave? And then the question is yes or no. So if you want to say, even if they do the event on that page, so if they go to the page, they do the event, and then they leave without visiting any other pages, do I want that event to count as a hit against my bounce rate? The answer, if you set this to true, that will be a bounce because it's not counting events that happened. Whereas if you set it to false, if I go to your page and then I do the event and then I leave, that's going to reduce bounce rate because it's not going to be counted as a bounce because I actually interacted with your page. I hope that makes sense. That's about as far as I'm going to go into that. So we're going to keep everything here. We're going to say this is Amazon button click. I'll say Amazon listing. And for the trigger, you might recall that we set up this Amazon trigger in the previous video. Let me just show you what it looks like real quick. Click class contains equals. We're going to change this to contains just to make it not so. If it's equals, then it has the possibility of breaking, whereas I know it has this class, and it would have worked just either way, just fine. But we're gonna say this is great. Hit save. So now this event is going to fire when this Amazon button trigger is fired. Okay, now let's hit save. Oh, and we have to select our Google Analytics setting here. That's why we added this as a variable. So let's hit save. There it is. Now let's put our page into preview mode. And then, so we have our goal. We have our Google Tag Manager sending events to Google Analytics. Now we want to go into the dashboard of Google Analytics. We go into real time and events. Okay, now let's reload our page here. And we can see there's an Amazon listing button click that has not fired. In Google Analytics, we don't see any events, right? So let's scroll up. Now remember, I'm going to hit Control and I'm going to click. So I just fired that event, fired here, and hopefully we should see it here. And we do. So that is great. But let's test out the second button. Let's close the listing. Scroll down. Let's refresh this page. Control, click. I'm going to close Amazon page. We should see it here. And we do. So those are all good signs. That means that we've set up everything correctly. The event didn't show in Tag Assistant. So that's why having Google Tag Manager's preview mode is so valuable. And if we want, we can take a look at this specific click. Let's open this up. Succeeded. Okay, category is click. Everything looks good. So that is how you set up that. So last part, okay? Let's refresh AdWords here. Now we can see our event, or our goal, I should say, because we created it in Google Analytics under the goals section right there. So now what we want to do is we want to import this as a conversion, and that's it. So now whenever that event happens, it will be counted as a conversion. And we want to click this and we can see what we're capable of editing. You might count it as 1 every time. I would definitely recommend keeping that. But that's it. And that should do it for this video.